Hi, I'm Ranger Sorella.
And I'm Ranger Amber.
Come take a tour of the historic Vaughan Log Cabin with us.
Come on.
Hi, and welcome to our Vaughan Log Cabin. This style of cabin is called a dog trot, and that's actually because of this breezeway that you see right through the middle. It has two halves. Traditionally, these would be a kitchen and sort of a combination living room bedroom. Mostly, pioneers had their living room was just the great outdoors, their porch and everything beyond. Would you like to come see some of the rooms with us? Come on. So this is our pioneer kitchen. We have a lot of different things to see in here. So you can see there's a mortar and pestle right over here. We actually have two different mortar and pestles. We'll show you how those work later. We also have a really great collection of cast ironware. We have all sorts of different pots and pans, different sizes. In addition, we have some nice wooden buckets, which you would use to hold water. You just have to make sure that you soak the wood or that water will run out. Beautiful stoneware as well. Would have been hand-thrown bowls. And sometimes they would have wooden bowls. Depended on what was easiest to get.
We also have our Dutch oven just over here. You put the coals on top, and when you set it down, see these feet, you put the coals underneath. So you'll set it right here. And if you notice, you can see some evidence of coals on the ground. And just push under. That is why this stone comes this far out. That way that you can put the hot coals underneath and not put them on your wood, which is highly flammable. That was not a good plan.
You can also see some beautiful cornbread pans up above our fireplace. It has the separations, and again, that is cast iron and would allow you to cook your separate little slices of cornbread. We have a lot of beautiful cookery. You can see there's that blue willow china that became very popular. There's also some gorgeous jars for flour and sugar, and of course cookies, as well as a mill for grinding coffee or grains. And this is one of my favorite pieces. This is actually made of wood, but this is a butter form. So after you've churned your butter, you can pat it into this form, and your butter will come out looking so pretty. And these are your butter paddles to help get it down into that form nicely. This right here is a meat grinder. You would actually take cuts or scraps of meat and put them in the front here, and you would turn our crank. Oh, it's got a rusty noise. And it would come out here, almost like little noodles. You can see lots of little holes. And that's would come out similar to how we buy our ground turkey or ground beef in modern times.
And over here we have our storage shelf. We have some nuts and looks like some pecans and some jams. We even have corn, which you would dry the corn out, and you would use this very special machine to get the corn separated from the husk. I mean the cob. And then it will fall at the bottom. Comes off, falls out the bottom. You put it in a jar, and this is how you make cornmeal. Hello. We are now in the other half of the cabin, and this is where they would sleep.
The adults. The children mostly slept upstairs.
Yes. The children were forced to go upstairs. We're not so used to your children. So in the kitchen, you may have noticed some enamelware. So over here we have enamelware, and this is their wash basin. So whenever they woke up in the morning, they would have some water, and they pour the water in here, and they just wash their face and their arms and get off all the yuckiness. Because they didn't take baths that often, here's in lieu of that. They also had their hairbrush and their mirror. We even have an iron to iron the clothes, which you would literally put, it is literally iron, and you would put it into either over the fire or on top of the coals, let it heat up, wrap it up with a piece of cloth or your apron and then just iron it out.
Over here, we have the main bed. So what I love about the Pioneer bed is this is actually where one of my favorite sayings comes from, which is good night, sleep tight. So that part of the saying comes from the fact that our Pioneer beds are all supported with rope. That's all that's under here, right? No Tempur-Pedic, no box spring, it's just rope. And rope over time loosens, kind of sags. And so they actually had a tool they would use. They would insert it in between these bits of rope on the outside of the frame, and they would twist it to pull the rope tighter. And they would go down each one, and they would twist to get tighter and twist to get tighter, until they got to the very end where there's a knot. And they had the other end of this tool has like a hook in it, and they would hook that knot and pull as much rope as they could, tie the knot back up, and now they have a tight bed. So that's our good night, sleep tight. And if you were staying at someone else's house and you were no longer welcome, it was time to go, they usually wouldn't tell you that it was time to go. They would just stop tightening your bed. So slowly over time, you kind of just sink down in and get really uncomfortable, and that's how you know it's time to go. And the second half of that phrase is don't let the bed bugs bite. And that's because, again, our mattress this is just straw. All right, that's all that's in here. You can see it's squishy. See that crinkle? So if you're using whatever is handy to stuff your mattress, leaves, pine straw, whatever, then you're also going to get bugs in there. And those bugs that would get in there did actually bite. And so good night, sleep tight is a wish that you are welcome where you are sleeping. And don't let the bed bugs bite is a wish that you don't wake up itchy from bed bugs. So here we are in the dog trot, which is this central breezeway between the two rooms. Now, part of the really great thing about this is it allows wonderful airflow through here, which is really important if you live in the South in the summer without central heating and AC. Another important feature of this natural air conditioning is the chinking. Now, for our Vaughan Log Cabin, we have chinked this with concrete so that we can't ever take it out. But Pioneers would have actually used mud and pine straw and moss. And that would hold it in, and they would put that in every late autumn, early winter, and they would keep that in the whole winter time while it was cold, and in the spring they would knock all that chinking back out. So the airflow, which is flowing through our dog trot right now, could also flow straight through the chinking and allow fresh air and a cool breeze into both halves of the house. You may have noticed that our Vaughan Log Cabin has 2 chimneys. And that's because there's a fireplace in each of the 2 rooms. Now here in the South, we do get pretty warm in the summer, and we don't always want to have our heating on at night. So by having those 2 rooms and those 2 separate chimneys, it allows us to keep our cooking fire going in our kitchen all year long. A Pioneer never wants their fire to go out. But they can put their fire out in the bedroom for the summer months, and then they don't have to restart it again until late autumn or winter.